Hi, my name is Lisi and I am the person behind Lisified. I'm an illustrator and brush maker for Procreate. In this tutorial, I would like to invite you to learn some drills, daily exercises and warm-ups to improve your line art, not only in Procreate but on paper as well, if you are working on paper too. We will mostly use the dry ink brush that comes with Procreate. It's under the inking section in your basic Procreate brush sets. If you would like to use some different brush, you are welcome to do so. You can also check out my Gumroad to get some free or paid pretty line art brushes for your work. In this video, we will only do exercises, but for the theory and masterclass, you should check out my Patreon, where I will talk about all the tips and tricks that I learned about line art over the years. At the end of this video, we will do an entire artwork using the skills that you learned from this tutorial. But without further ado, let's get into the exercises, starting with the first one. The goal of this exercise is to learn how to control the pressure of your brush. It's a seemingly easy thing to do. What you will do is to get your dry ink brush or any brush that you would like to use and draw straight lines with almost the same pressure along the entire canvas of your choice. As you can see, I'm struggling with keeping my lines completely horizontal. I will be speeding up the process for every single one of these cuts, so you don't have to look through my entire workflow. But keep in mind that you don't have to hurry. This is the time to practice. Next, we are going to variate this first exercise. We are first going to turn on a grid. With the help of our grid, draw straight lines that are thicker in the middle and thinner at the end. You can draw thicker lines by pressing down your pencil more. We are going to take it a step further and we are going to put on a drawing guide with symmetry on. Draw a shape that you like that is symmetrical. It can be anything, a circle, a square, a heart, a sea creature, literally anything. But keep in mind that the more complicated your shape is, the exercise will be more complicated too. Make a new layer on top of your shape. Let's make a new drawing guide on this new different layer. In this layer, let's put a 2D grid that will help us to make straight lines again. Your task is to draw straight lines with no pressure on the parts where the shape does not exist. But where your shape is, you should press down hard. So at the end, when you are removing the shape from your canvas, it will look like the shape is still there, but in an impression mode. Now you see how it can get really complicated if your shape is very complicated in the beginning. When you are done with the lines, you should turn off the shape that is on the other layer to see the full effect. This next exercise is mostly used by calligraphers who are learning how to do pretty writing. Take a pressure-sensitive brush and do up and down strokes with it. Make the upstroke very thin and the downstroke very thick. This exercise will help you control your brush better when you are doing the line art on smaller areas. I will remind you again that this is not the normal speed of my drawing. This is a very sped up version and every single exercise is sped up in this video. Fill the entire page with these little hills. I took a different color and then marked the parts that I am not happy with, just for myself to know what I have to improve on. To make it less shaky, of course, you can use Streamline. I will use Streamline very soon in the video. This next exercise is the hardest for me. One of the principles of drawing good line art is to make the curves a bit thicker in the middle. So this is what we are practicing with drawing downward waves towards ourselves. Do a variation of thick and thin in the wave that you are drawing. We are going to do some brush editing for this next one, but if you rather not do it, you can just use a monoline brush. In the brush settings, go to Apple Pencil and set the size to 0. Now we have a monoline dry ink brush and we are going to draw parallel lines that are horizontal. With this exercise, as you can see, I don't have the drawing grid on. And that is because I want to learn how to draw straight parallel lines, both horizontal and vertical, without having the help of a grid. And it is much easier to not go from one side to the other side of the canvas as well. If you want to step up the difficulty, you can also not use the monoline version, but use the pressure sensitive version, so you can work on your control of the brush as well. In the next couple of minutes, your task will be to draw ladders. For the first one, we are not going to use any pressure sensitivity because it is much easier to learn without having to worry about controlling your pressure. The point of this exercise is to learn how to stop when you are reaching another line. What we are aiming for is to stop exactly at the point where they connect. For some reason, this is much harder to do on a screen than it is on paper, so exercising this will really help your line art. You guessed what the next level is to do it without the pressure sensitive brush, but keeping the pressure the same throughout the entire piece. I suggest doing this not after the monoline because you can get used to the monoline really easily. As you can see, I am struggling to keep the same pressure. In any case, this is a really nice way to learn about how to connect the lines together, although there is one more crucial thing to learn about connecting your lines when it comes to line art. And you probably already know that this is your next task. In this one, you will practice how light and shadow will make a difference with your line art. I like drawing a little sun like in kindergarten, in the spot where the light is coming from. It's just a nice reminder, and also it's a little bit of fun. Your line art is affected by your light source in a way that you are going to draw lighter on the part where the light hits your line art and darker on the place where there are shadows. So in this case, I'm going to draw a line art that is thinner on the left side and thicker on the right side. I will also make sure that it will get way thicker on the right side when I'm drawing vertically. I'm going to draw a couple more ladders like this. It's not a very easy exercise for me. Let's leave these ladders behind and do something a little more organic. I'm turning on the grid again, but only just to make sure that I can draw a straight line in the middle with a different color. To make it a straight line, do not release at the end of the line when you drew it, and then press down with one finger to make it completely straight. Make a new layer on top of your line and draw half a circle. Lift your pencil when the half a circle is done and try to connect the other half of the circle with the first half. And this is the time when I decided to turn on Streamline 2 because my hands weren't agreeing with drawing these big lines. We are going to do the same thing with the circles that we did with the ladders. I am drawing my kindergarten sun in the corner again. You can do this exercise without Streamline, but I suggest you turn on Streamline just to have some more confidence in drawing circles, because as you can see, I am not very good at drawing circles without having the Streamline on. Fill the entire page with circles that are pressure sensitive. The part that is closer to the sun is always a bit thinner than the part that is far away from the sun. Draw all kinds of sizes, so you get used to drawing circles in any way. Obviously, not all of your art will have circles in it, but it's a good practice to learn how to draw this. You can also put the light source in a different position. I will show you one that I did that the light source was in the middle too. Go ahead and fill the entire page with the tiniest of circles as well. Here are the results of my exercises that I did not hurry, like how I did it when I was doing the entire video. Please take your time to do these exercises, and also these are just very good for warming up before you are drawing. And now it's time to put all this into practice. I'm going to use the Grace brush from my Nightfall inks. I'm turning on Streamline right away because I know that my hands will be too shaky to draw nice lines in a circle. Nightfall inks are mostly for realistic inking, so most of them don't have Streamline on right away, but I like to have my Streamline on when I'm drawing intricate designs. I'm going to put on a large grid so I know where the middle of the canvas is. You can have any color as a background or ink color. I'm going to use a random shape in the middle that I'm going to draw right now. From now on, I will treat this shape as the middle of my drawing, and I will add lines that are parallel to the edges of this shape. I am going to use different pressure sensitivity for each ring. There is no wrong way to do this. The thinner lines you have, the more intricate it is. The thicker lines will give some interest to your drawing. The entire drawing relies on adding more and more lines around this shape. The more lines you add, the more intricate and nicer looking it will be. Don't worry about undoing, it's a part of digital art. As you can see, we are utilizing a bunch of the skills that we practiced before. We are utilizing pressure sensitivity, connecting the lines together, drawing parallel lines, and also we are using a bit of imagination at the same time. If your lines do not connect perfectly, do not worry about it too much. You can always long press the eraser tool on Procreate and then erase with the same brush that you are using for drawing. This is a very meditative exercise to do, so if you have some anxiety or some sort of mental health problems, please use this exercise as meditation tool as well. And if you think that there is no rhyme or rhythm to how thick and thin my lines are, that is true. There is no rhyme or rhythm to them. I am just doing it randomly. What I am paying attention to is that the shape that is on the outside will become something interesting, so it will be interesting to look at the very end. You can also see that I'm filling in parts where I went too far away from the original line, and I think it looks a little bit like this tree had a branch there, so I actually am embracing those kind of mistakes. When you think you are ready to progress to the bark of the tree, then you should draw another line, a final line around the entire artwork. Your very last step will be drawing little trapeziums or squares all over the bark to showcase how it is when the tree has the thicker part on the outside. I am not very precious about filling in these little trapeziums. I like when it looks a bit organic. Go around the entirety of your drawing and add the little squares, and once it's done, you are done with the entire artwork that you did only with Lineart and with the help of the exercises that you did in this little tutorial. While I'm finishing up my artwork, I would like to direct your attention to further learning. Every month I release a patron-only tutorial and draw along that we do together with my patrons. Every month the new tutorial/draw along comes out on the 25th. The current one is everything I learned about line art in the 4 years that I've been drawing. It's all the tips and tricks that you would ever need for line art. Actually, this video is kind of the second half of it where we put it in practice. We also have a tiny community with my patrons and we love talking to each other. So if you want to be part of a very tiny and growing community of caring artists, then you should join us on Patreon and on Discord as well. You will find the links to everything in the description below, both the resources, the communities, the Patreon, and everything in between. Thank you so much for joining me today. I feel like this was the best drawing session that we had so far. I hope you learned something new and have fun with your line art journey. Goodbye!